The house was too quiet. For a moment, Michael thought maybe his wife had already gone out, but the smell of her perfume lingered in the living room, strong and deliberate, like she had just walked past the door. He set his old leather bag down, the straps already frayed from carrying it through too many late-night shifts. His shirt clung to him with sweat. He had just returned from his second job, 8 hours at the construction site after an overnight run as a security guard. He forced a tired smile. Maybe she cooked something today. It had been weeks since they sat down at the same table. Weeks since she looked at him with anything close to affection. "Linda," he called, his voice rough with exhaustion. She stepped out from the dining room, not with food, not with a smile, but with a plain brown envelope in her hands. His chest tightened immediately. He didn't know why, but he felt it before she spoke. Something about the way she avoided his eyes, the way her lips pressed into a thin, cruel line. "What's that?" he asked. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "Divorce papers." Michael froze. For a second, he couldn't breathe. His throat went dry, and his heartbeat roared in his ears. "Divorce what?" he muttered, stepping closer, hoping he had misheard. She tossed the envelope onto the table like it was nothing. "I'm done, Michael. I can't keep pretending anymore. You're not the man I want. You'll never be." Her words cut deeper than any wound he had ever known. His legs felt heavy as he sank into the nearest chair. "Linda, after everything I've done, after breaking my back every day just so we can have a roof over our heads." She scoffed. "A roof? Michael, look at this place. Look at you. You're 30, still struggling like a boy chasing scraps. Do you think I married you to suffer? Do you think I want to keep waiting for your big break that never comes?" He swallowed hard, his hands trembling. He wanted to argue, to remind her of the nights he walked home because he couldn't afford the bus, just so she would have enough for her hair appointments. He wanted to remind her of the promises they made when they had nothing but hope, but the words wouldn't come out. "Linda, I thought we were in this together," he whispered. She laughed bitterly. "Together? I've been alone in this marriage for years. You were too blind to see it. And now, I've found someone who actually knows what it means to be a man." The words echoed in his head like gunfire. "Someone else?" He clenched his fists. You're leaving me for another man?" She didn't flinch. "Yes. And unlike you, he doesn't make promises he can't keep. He gives me the life I deserve." Michael felt his chest cave in. His world, already fragile, cracked open. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his head in his hands. His eyes burned, but he refused to cry in front of her. No, she didn't deserve his tears. "So that's it." His voice shook with quiet rage. "You throw me away like trash because I'm not rich enough for you?" She crossed her arms, her expression cold. "Don't make this about me being shallow. This is about reality. Dreams don't pay bills, Michael. Hard work doesn't feed a family if it leads nowhere. You're a failure, and I refuse to go down with you. Failure." That word hit him harder than the divorce papers on the table. He stared at her, the woman he once swore to protect, the woman he loved so deeply he sacrificed his own comfort, his own life. Now, she looked at him like he was dirt beneath her shoes. Something inside him cracked. He stood up slowly, his body trembling, not from fear, but from the weight of betrayal pressing on his shoulders. He met her eyes, his jaw tight. "If this is what you want," he said, his voice low and cold, "then take it. But remember this, Linda. You'll regret it. One day, you'll see me again, and when you do, you'll wish you never let me go." She smirked, almost amused. "Empty threats. You'll never change. You'll never be anything but a broke, forgotten man." Her words carved deep into his chest, but he didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing him break. He grabbed the envelope, stared at the papers inside, her signature already neat and confident, like she had planned this for weeks, and then shoved it back onto the table. He walked past her without another word, but as he reached the door, she called out one last time, "Oh, and Michael, don't even think about crawling back to me when you're homeless. I'm done saving you from yourself." He paused for a long moment at the door. His shoulders rose and fell as he took a shaky breath. Then, without looking back, he stepped into the night. The streets were alive with the noise of the city. Cars honking, people laughing, neon lights flashing across old brick walls. But to Michael, the world felt silent, empty. Every step he took felt heavier, his mind drowning in her words. Failure. Useless. A man who'll never be anything. He stopped at the edge of a bridge and leaned on the rail, staring down at the dark water. For a moment, he thought about letting it swallow him. Maybe then, the world would be free of its so-called failure. But then, something burned inside him. Anger. Not at her. Not even at the man she ran to. At himself. At the version of himself who let life beat him into the ground. The version who kept making excuses. Who kept working himself to death with nothing to show for it. He clenched the rail, so hard his knuckles turned white. No more, he muttered through gritted teeth. The words surprised even him. But they carried a fire he hadn't felt in years. No more struggling for scraps. No more being the man people look down on. No more begging for love from someone who never valued me. They won't call me a failure. His eyes blazed as he looked out over the city. Fine. I'll show them. I'll rise so high they'll choke on their own words. The night swallowed his vow, but his heart knew it was real. Michael turned from the bridge and walked into the city, his steps steady this time. The papers were still back at the house, but he carried something more powerful with him. Resolve. They had broken him tonight. But this was the night he would begin building the king he was meant to be. Michael woke up on the couch. His head pounded, his back stiff from sleeping in an awkward position. The memories from last night slammed into him all at once. The envelope, Linda's cold words, the way she smirked as she talked about another man. He sat up slowly, his throat dry, his body still heavy with exhaustion. For a moment, he hoped it had all been a nightmare. Maybe if he walked into the bedroom, she would still be there, waiting. But the silence that filled the apartment told him everything he needed to know. She was gone. The envelope still sat on the table like a ghost, a reminder of how quickly his life had been ripped apart. Michael dragged himself to the sink, splashed water on his face, and stared at his reflection. His eyes were bloodshot, his beard uneven, his face looking older than 30. Maybe she's right, he thought bitterly. Maybe I do look like a man who's lost everything. His phone buzzed on the counter. He grabbed it, hoping it was a job call. But when he saw the name on the screen, his stomach twisted. Daniel, his childhood friend. The one person who knew him better than anyone else. The one who stood by him through thick and thin, or so he thought. Michael answered, his voice low. Hey! Mike, can we meet? Daniel's voice was strangely calm, almost rehearsed. Michael frowned. Now? I'm not in the mood, man. Trust me, it's important. Michael hesitated, then sighed. Daniel had been his brother in everything but blood. If there was anyone he could lean on, it was him. Fine, Michael muttered. Where? They met at a small cafe near the bus station. Michael walked in, his clothes wrinkled, his face drawn. He spotted Daniel at a corner table, sipping coffee like nothing in the world was wrong. For a moment, Michael felt relief. At least he had someone to talk to, someone who wouldn't judge him. Mike, Daniel greeted, standing to pat him on the back. Sit. Michael dropped into the chair, exhaling heavily. Linda left me. Daniel didn't even flinch. He stirred his coffee slowly, then looked up. I know. The words hit Michael like a slap. He blinked. What do you mean, you know? Daniel didn't look guilty. He didn't even look nervous. His eyes were steady, almost cold. Because she's with me now. The world tilted. Michael's chest tightened, as if someone had stabbed him straight through the heart. He stared at Daniel, his mind refusing to believe what he had just heard. With you, he whispered. Daniel leaned back in his chair, his expression calm. It's been happening for a while. She told you first, but I wasn't going to hide it forever. She deserves better, Mike. You know that. Michael's hands shook violently. He gripped the edge of the table just to keep from lashing out. His voice came out raw, trembling with fury and heartbreak. You? My brother? The one person I trusted with my life. You went behind my back, slept with my wife. Daniel shrugged, unbothered. Don't make it sound dirty. She came to me. She was tired of waiting for you to become a man, tired of struggling. I just gave her what she wanted. Michael's breath came out in sharp bursts. Rage boiled in his veins, but beneath it was something worse. Betrayal so deep it hollowed him out. This is a joke, right? His voice cracked. Tell me you're lying, Daniel. Tell me this isn't real. But Daniel's smirk told him it was very real. Face it, Mike. You've always been the underdog, the one chasing dreams that never paid off. Linda just got tired of watching you fail. Michael slammed his fist onto the table, the cafe going silent around them. People turned to stare, but he didn't care. His chest heaved, his vision blurred. You had everything, he roared. My trust, my loyalty, my friendship. And you repaid me by stealing my wife. Daniel leaned forward, his tone low but firm. Wake up, Mike. Nobody stole anything. You lost to the moment you decided being broke was acceptable. The world doesn't respect men like you. Even your own wife couldn't respect you. Michael froze. Those words. Even your own wife couldn't respect you. Cut deep in the divorce itself. His throat tightened. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Daniel stood, tossing a few bills onto the table. I didn't meet you to fight. I just wanted you to hear it from me before it spreads. Take this as closure. Move on with your life, Mike. He patted Michael's shoulder once, mockingly, before walking out. Michael sat there, numb, his fists clenched, his jaw tight, his body trembling. He wanted to scream, to break something, to run after Daniel and beat him into the ground. But the weight of betrayal pressed him down into the chair. His wife, his best friend, the two people he trusted most had gutted him in the same breath. Tears stung his eyes, but he blinked them away. He wouldn't cry. Not here. Not for them. He stood abruptly, knocking his chair back, and stormed out of the cafe. The cold air hit his face, but it did nothing to cool the fire raging inside him. He walked aimlessly, his mind a storm of voices. Failure. Useless. Not a real man. Every insult Linda threw at him. Every cold word Daniel spat. They replayed in his head until he thought he would go mad. He stopped under a flickering streetlight, his body shaking. His eyes burned, his fists clenched so hard his nails dug into his skin. This is it, he whispered to himself. His voice was hoarse but steady. They want to bury me? They want to call me a failure? Fine. I'll rise so high, they'll choke on their own betrayal. His breath came out heavy, his heart hammering in his chest. They think I'm done. They think I'll stay broken. His lips curled into a bitter smile. But I'll make them regret every word, every choice. I'll build something so powerful, they'll have no choice but to bow. For the first time in years, Michael felt something spark inside him. Not hope, not yet, but fire. The fire of a man who had nothing left to lose, and everything to gain. And deep down he swore one thing. This betrayal would be the making of him. Michael stood in front of his parents' old house, his hands stuffed deep into his pockets. The morning sun burned down on him, but all he felt was cold. His legs were heavy, his mind exhausted from replaying the same words over and over again. Divorce papers, useless man, not worthy. He hadn't slept properly in days. He hadn't eaten more than bread crusts and cheap coffee. And yet, as he stood there, staring at the crooked gate, he told himself this was the right thing to do. Family is supposed to be your last refuge. Even if the world turned its back on him, surely his parents, his siblings, would stand with him. He needed someone, anyone, to tell him he wasn't crazy, that he wasn't the failure everyone said he was. He took a deep breath, pushed open the gate, and walked in. Inside, the house smelled of pepper soup and smoke. His mother was at the stove, her wrapper tied tight, humming softly. His younger sister, Anita, was scrolling on her phone at the dining table. His father sat on the couch, sipping palm wine like it was water. For a moment, Michael almost smiled. Maybe they'll understand. Maybe they'll have my back. Michael? His mother turned, surprised. Ah, you finally remembered us? He forced a smile and hugged her. Mama. But the warmth didn't last. His father's eyes narrowed as he set his cup down. What brings you here? You only show up when life beats you down. Michael swallowed hard. I need to talk. To all of you. Anita rolled her eyes without looking up. Here we go again. Another sob story. His chest tightened, but he ignored her. He sat down, his hands clasped tightly. Linda left me. That got their attention. His mother's eyes widened, but his father leaned back, a bitter chuckle escaping his lips. Of course she did. Michael's heart sank. What do you mean, of course? His father's voice was sharp. You think a woman like Linda would stay with a man who can't even feed her properly? We told you from the beginning. You had no business marrying her. Dad, no. His father's hand slammed on the arm of the chair. You've been a disappointment since the day you left school to chase nonsense jobs. Always talking about dreams, always working like a slave, but never bringing anything home. Did you think she'd stay forever? The words cut like knives. Michael stared at the floor, his chest heavy, his throat burning. His mother sighed. Michael, you should have seen it coming. A woman needs security. Love doesn't cook food. Love doesn't pay rent. Maybe this will teach you to grow up. Anita finally looked up from her phone, smirking. Honestly, bro, I don't blame Linda. I wouldn't stay with you either. You're too average. No ambition, no swag, nothing. Who wants a man like that? Michael's jaw tightened. Average? You think working 2 jobs every day is average? You think killing myself to survive is nothing? Anita shrugged. Survival isn't success. And women don't stay with survivors. They stay with winners. His fist shook under the table. He wanted to scream, to tell him about the nights he went hungry so Linda could eat, about the sacrifices no one saw. But he realized nothing he said would matter. They had already judged him. His father leaned forward, his voice low and cutting. Michael, you're 30. 30? And what do you have to show for it? Nothing. You're a disgrace to this family. Your brothers are doing well. Your sister is on her way to success, and you're still crawling in the mud. Michael's chest felt like it was caving in. So that's it? You'll just mock me too? I came here looking for support, for family. Family? His father scoffed. Family doesn't carry dead weight. The silence that followed was suffocating. Michael's mother turned back to her pot. Anita went back to her phone. His father picked up his cup again like the conversation was over. Michael sat there, frozen, every word drilling into his heart. Dead weight. Failure. Disgrace. He pushed back his chair slowly, his body trembling. He wanted to argue. He wanted to beg. But his pride wouldn't let him. Not anymore. He stood, his voice quiet but sharp. One day, you'll regret these words. All of you, you'll remember how you mocked me when I had nothing. And when that day comes, don't you dare call me family. No one responded. Michael walked out, his eyes burning, his chest tight. By the time he reached the gate, he couldn't hold it anymore. His fist slammed against the rusted metal, the pain shooting up his arm. But the pain grounded him. If his wife could betray him, if his best friend could stab him in the back, if his own family could look him in the eye and call him a disgrace, then he had no one left to lean on. And maybe that was exactly what he needed, because now there was no turning back. Michael sat at his desk, staring blankly at the computer screen. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, but his mind wasn't in the office. He could still hear his father's words from the night before. Disgrace, dead weight, failure. His chest was tight, his jaw clenched. He wanted to scream, to smash the desk in front of him, but all he could do was type half-heartedly, pretending like he cared. The office buzzed with life. Phones rang. Printers spat out endless sheets. People laughed at inside jokes while sipping coffee. But Michael felt like a ghost, invisible, detached. Then the email came. Subject, urgent. Report submission. His boss, Mr. James, was summoning him. Michael's stomach dropped. He had been dreading this. The report deadline was yesterday, but with his life crumbling apart, he hadn't been able to finish it properly. He saved what little he had and stood up, adjusting his wrinkled shirt. As he walked to the office, whispers followed him. He caught a few words: lazy, incompetent, finished man. He ignored them and knocked. "Enter." Mr. James's voice was sharp. Michael pushed the door open. The office smelled of expensive cologne and leather chairs. James sat behind his desk, dressed in a tailored suit, his bald head gleaming under the fluorescent light. "Michael," he said, not even looking up, "where's the report?" Michael placed the file on his desk. "Sir, I tried. It's not complete yet. I'll need more time." The silence was deadly. Then James looked up, his eyes cold and piercing. "More time? This isn't the first time you've said that. Do you think this company runs on excuses?" Michael's throat went dry. "I've been going through a lot, sir. My wife—" James raised his hand. "Stop right there." He leaned forward. "Your personal life is not this company's problem. Do you understand?" Michael's fists clenched at his sides. "I've given this company everything. Late nights, weekends, extra hours. And what do we have to show for it?" James snapped. "Mediocrity, half-baked work, missed deadlines. You think effort without results matters?" Michael's chest burned. He wanted to scream that he had been carrying the weight of 2 departments at times, that he had sacrificed more than anyone. But before he could speak, the door opened, and in walked Daniel. Michael froze. His best friend, the same Daniel who had stolen Linda. "Ah, Daniel." James' face lit up in a way it never did for Michael. Just in time. Daniel smiled, his eyes locking with Michael's. There was no remorse in them, just arrogance. "Sir," Daniel said smoothly, "I've completed the report Michael couldn't finish. I took the liberty of staying up last night to ensure it was ready." James beamed. "Now that is the kind of dedication I like to see." Michael's hands trembled. "You took my work?" Daniel smirked. "Your unfinished work. I polished it up. Someone had to step in." James stood. "Michael, I've had enough. You've been dragging this company down for too long. Meanwhile, Daniel here shows promise, commitment, results. Effective immediately, you're fired." The words hit Michael like a punch to the gut. "Fired?" His voice cracked. "After everything I've done for this place? After all the sacrifices?" "Sacrifices don't pay the bills," James interrupted coldly. "Results do. Pack your things. Security will escort you out." Michael's vision blurred. His ears rang. He looked at Daniel, hoping for a flicker of guilt, but Daniel only leaned against the desk, arms folded, a smug grin on his face. "Don't take it personally, Mike," Daniel said softly. "It's just business. Survival of the fittest." Something inside Michael snapped. He slammed his fist on the desk, his voice breaking. "You betrayed me, Daniel. You took my wife, and now my job." Daniel's smirk widened. "Correction, you lost your wife and your job. I just picked them up." The room fell silent, the words echoing in Michael's skull. His chest heaved with rage, but he saw it now, clearer than ever. No one was coming to save him. Not his wife, not his family, not his boss, not even his so-called best friend. The last string of hope inside him snapped. Michael straightened slowly, his eyes cold, his voice steady. "Fine. You've all had your laugh. You think I'm finished? Watch me. Watch me rise. And when I do, I'll make sure you regret every single word." James waved his hand. "Security." 2 guards appeared at the door. Michael didn't resist. He picked up his bag, slung it over his shoulder, and walked out with his head held high. His world had collapsed completely. But in the ruins, something new was being born. Not the broken, desperate Michael they all mocked, but the man who would rise from the ashes and burn every one of them who betrayed him. The streetlights flickered as Michael walked home, his bag hanging loosely on his shoulder. He moved like a man carrying invisible chains, each step heavy, dragging his pride to the dirt. The world around him didn't stop. Cars honked. People laughed in roadside bars. Music blasted from cheap speakers. Yet for Michael, everything was quiet. By the time he reached his apartment, his legs felt like lead. He unlocked the door, stepped into the small living room, and shut it behind him. For a long moment, he stood there in silence, staring at the empty walls. The apartment reeked of loneliness. The couch where Linda used to sit was bare. Her pictures were gone, her clothes removed from the closet. The space felt like a tomb. Michael dropped his bag and sank onto the couch. He buried his face in his hands. His chest tightened, his breath shaky. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why does it have to be me?" Images flooded his mind. Linda's cold eyes as she handed him the divorce papers. Daniel's smug grin in his boss's office. His father's voice calling him useless. Each memory pierced him like a knife. Tears burned at the corners of his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. He clenched his fists instead, digging his nails into his palms until it hurt. He sat there for hours, swallowed by silence. Then his phone buzzed. Michael hesitated before picking it up. One unread message. It was from Linda. "Daniel proposed tonight. I said yes. I hope you finally understand. You were never enough for me." Michael's breath caught. His grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles turned white. His wife, his best friend, together, engaged. He laughed bitterly, though it sounded more like a broken sob. "Never enough," he repeated. The phone slipped from his hand and clattered to the floor. He leaned back, staring at the ceiling. His mind was a storm. Rage, shame, grief, hatred. It all boiled inside him, threatening to consume him. For a moment, he thought about ending it all, just disappearing, leaving the pain behind. But then something else stirred. A voice, quiet but steady. "You're not finished." Michael sat up slowly, wiping his face with the back of his hand. His reflection stared back at him from the dark window, tired, broken, but alive. He stood and walked to the mirror in the hallway. For the first time, he really looked at himself. The hollow cheeks, the weary eyes, the defeated posture. "This is what they see," he muttered. "This is why they laugh." His fists clenched again, but this time not in despair, in determination. "They think I'm done. They think I'll stay on the ground. But they don't know me. They don't know what I'm capable of." He pressed his palm flat against the mirror. His reflection met his gaze. "I'll rise," he whispered. "I'll make money. I'll build power. I'll become a man no one can ignore. And when I do, every single one of them will remember the day they betrayed me." His voice grew stronger with each word. "Linda, Daniel, my family, James, all of them." He stepped back, his breathing heavy, but his chest no longer felt like it was caving in. The pain was still there, sharp and raw, but now it was fuel. Michael didn't know how yet. He didn't have a plan. He didn't have the money, the connections, or the roadmap, but he had one thing left: resolve. And sometimes that's all a man needs to start an empire. He grabbed a notebook from the shelf and sat at the table. He flipped it open, the blank pages waiting. At the top, he wrote 3 words in bold, shaky letters: "The comeback plan." And under it, he began to write: 1. Get back on my feet. Any job, no matter how small. 2. Learn money. Study wealth. 3. Build something of my own. 4. Never trust too easily again. 5. Pay them back one by one. Michael stared at the list. For the first time in weeks, he felt something other than despair. It wasn't peace. It wasn't joy. It was fire. The man they thought was broken was about to be rebuilt. And this time, he wouldn't be the same. This time, he would be unstoppable.